This is one of the craziest stories in the book. It's a little bit sensitive, but I think most people can handle it. Mr. White, Oldsmobile, 442. We were still in the midst of getting a buzz was okay era. If you could talk and not slur and walk and not stumble, you were all right. I found this out quickly one night while I was a switch foreman on the Auburn, Washington Knights switch engine in 1980. We were all extra board that day with the exception of the locomotive engineer. My head man was a black man and pulled the pins on the wrong cars a couple times, resulting in the cars going down the wrong tracks and requiring us to reach back in and couple up to them, pulling them back out before kicking them again. This created a lot of extra work and time lost. He smelled of alcohol when he approached me on the lead to ask me when we were going to coffee break. I told him that we would have been to coffee a long time ago if he had been pulling the pins at the right spots. I admitted that I was being a smart ass, but what came out of his mouth was much worse. He said a couple vulgar things, adding that he was going to cut my heart out as sure as my mama was white, and that I had better watch out for his white Oldsmobile 442 because he was going to get me. This argument went from the lead into the switch shanty for 30 minutes. He would say something mean, and I would respond, "F you, boy." That is the only response I gave him, as he continued to threaten to cut my heart out as sure as my mama was white. Someone called the train master, who came down and removed him from service for violating Rule G, meaning that he was found to be drinking or intoxicated while on the property. The investigation was to be held a couple weeks later, and there was talk that the NAACP was going to represent Mr. 442. I was concerned, but I do believe I was by far the lesser of two evils in this case. At the investigation, there was nobody at all representing Mr. 442. He chose to represent himself. He pleaded insanity, agreeing to go to treatment for substance abuse and keep his job. My union rep, Mark, represented me well and did most of the talking for me, which was a good thing. The railroad official who held the investigation took me aside afterwards, hinting that there would have been some inquiries from another organization. He told me if I said anything more than what I had said to Mr. 442, I would have been fired. I crossed paths with Mr. 442 for a few years after that, and later heard that he made some choices that resulted in him losing his railroad career. I hope he's well.